I was represented by the ACLU of Massachusetts the time I was arrested in the town hall in Palmer, Massachusetts, for recording video, and they won that case. And I got a $5,000 settlement out of that case. So the ACLU is pretty great.
Free Talk Live.
Let's go, though, to the phones first. We got Dave in New Hampshire on Free Talk Live. Hello, Dave.
Yes, back to something we can do something about. The New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union is back in action.
Oh, yeah. Well, they never stopped being in action, Dave. I mean, they're always out there doing something in the State House. But go ahead.
Maybe I should say they're back in the news. Maybe they're always in the news, too. But in any case, there's this ongoing scandal in New Hampshire over a thing called the Laurie List. Have you talked about this much? No,
it's some kind of cop thing, right?
Right. So it's a list of bad cops, basically, or a list of incidents. Over 200 names are on this list, and the government has been trying to keep it secret. Attorney General Gordon, a Republican activist who became Attorney General somehow, is basically now trying to keep people from being able to see this list of bad guys.
That's unfortunate.
So the New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU of New Hampshire, whatever you want to call it, has filed a suit, and that's going to be heard in court in Nashua on the 25th, I think.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Those guys do a lot of good work. The ACLU in New Hampshire, I support them on a yearly basis. Every year in the last 6 or so years, I've gone to their awards dinner where they hand out the Bill of Rights awards, which is a pretty cool event. And they do really mostly pro-liberty stuff. There's a few issues that they're not right about, but for the most part, they're spot on. They're dead on the immigration issues, civil liberties, from freedom of speech, especially in a lot of cases, taking on activist cases and representing them pro bono in court. I was represented by the ACLU of Massachusetts the time I was arrested in the town hall in Palmer, Massachusetts, for recording video, and they won that case. And I got a $5,000 settlement out of that case. So the ACLU is pretty great.
Sometimes the wish is father to the thought, but I get this feeling, as I watch them, that they're more libertarian than the other ACLUs around the country, because I don't remember liking the ACLUs very much anywhere else that I've ever lived, but I like the one in New Hampshire.
Yeah, if you go into the State House and you happen into one of the, because at the State House in New Hampshire, those that don't know, every single bill gets a hearing. Every one of them. They get a public hearing. You can go and testify. Chris, you and I, we've been doing a number of these. The ACLU will frequently have people all over the State House. They've got at least 2 or 3 different folks that are regularly there testifying in favor of freedom on a whole lot of legislation, and it's very rare that I will ever hear the ACLU's official testifiers say things I disagree with. I mean, it's just they're spot on. I would say, I think Darrell W. Perry made this comparison before, and I think he's right about it, that the ACLU is probably as much for freedom as the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is, and they kind of both come down on slightly different issues. But
I think part of the reason has to do with strategy. It's a very strategic organization that is got a very clear mission, and they stick to that mission.
They do.
They don't deviate at all.
They're mostly leftists. I mean, I'll be clear. Like, if you go to their dinner and you get to meet people, it's mostly people on the left that support the ACLU in New Hampshire. But you're right, Dave Ridley. When you watch and listen to what they say on the issues and the positions they take, the cases that they take on, I would say 9 times out of 10, maybe even 95 times out of 100, they are doing the right thing.
That's been my experience.
I feel like it's even been higher in the past, to be honest.
Maybe so.
I think it's kind of gone downhill a little bit in the last couple of years, maybe, but
it's really only the ACLU nationally that's gone, even more to the left since.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
Trump,
statement.
Since Trump, and to their credit, you can't blame an organization. I mean, I wouldn't do it, right? But you can't blame an organization for pandering, because it has more than tripled their membership numbers and dramatically increased the amount of money they're getting.
That is kind of a problem, but I think it's in some sense it's I think that can create a problem for an organization when they pander to a crowd that is not actually for the things that they're the same things that they're for. And I think that's kind of where the ACLU has gone, because I don't necessarily know that they've done most of what they've done. I think they would have done either way. Before now, it's just it maybe there wasn't as much pandering going on.
Well, they're happy, man. They got a lot of money coming in now because of Trump. As soon as Trump, basically the membership numbers shot up by multiples of what they were previously. So that's more money.
It's true. It can also be a dangerous thing, though, too, because the organization is strategic, and they've also had the opposite type of thing happen with some of the cases that they took up. I don't know exactly when, but certain cases with the Nazis and the KKK.
Well, there was some talk about them backing off of defending racists. That was one of the changes.
I think that's a mistake, because it undermines
I agree with
the
you.
strategic. The point is strategy, right? You need to protect even those. You don't need to protect the people who are in the majority. You need to protect the people who are in the minority.
And the old ACLU would have said that. And so you're right. There has been a difference in the sort of the rhetoric coming out of the national ACLU. I have not heard any kind of noteworthy change with the New Hampshire one.
Free Talk Live. Listen live 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, or grab the podcast. It's all at freetalklive.com.